Sarah Ferguson, Prince Andrew's ex-wife, has finally broken her silence, and what she revealed has shocked everyone. Her bold statement about the embattled royal left jaws dropping, especially given the scandals that have rocked his reputation. As Ferguson delved into their past, her words shed light on a bond that defies conventional norms, and she teased truths that are as surprising as they are heartfelt. The royal romance that captivated the world began long before the global spotlight fell on their relationship. Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew's paths first crossed in a setting far removed from the pomp of royalty. She was only 12 years old when they met, and even then, she recalls a fleeting thought, "I'm going to marry him." Years later, their lives intersected again when Diana, Princess of Wales, played matchmaker by inviting Sarah to Ascot in 1985. It was a spark that quickly ignited. Within 6 months, the couple was engaged. Their whirlwind romance captured hearts worldwide and set the stage for a love story that would become the stuff of royal legend. Their 1986 wedding at Westminster Abbey was nothing short of a fairy tale. Watched by a global audience of over 500 million, Sarah and Andrew exchanged vows in a ceremony steeped in tradition and grandeur. The Duchess of York later described the day as the best of my life, an occasion when love seemed to conquer all. Draped in a gown that symbolized her entry into royal life, Sarah beamed with joy but quietly recognized the monumental shift in her life. "I gave up my anonymity that day," she admitted, reflecting on the weight of the crown she was about to bear. Sarah was keenly aware of the sacrifices required. Joining the royal family meant relinquishing personal freedoms and adopting a life defined by duty and scrutiny. Her vibrant personality became a focal point for relentless public and media attention. Yet, she embraced her role wholeheartedly, guided by a deep and enduring love for Andrew. "Love conquers all," she said, a sentiment that became her guiding principle during the highs and lows of royal life. The couple's romance also introduced the world to a dynamic new member of the monarchy. Sarah's warmth and humor contrasted sharply with the reserved demeanor often associated with royal traditions. This refreshing approach earned her admiration but also set her apart in a way that would later make her a target for tabloid scrutiny. She understood this risk but pressed forward, determined to carve her place within the institution while staying true to herself. Despite the glamour, Sarah was not blind to the challenges that lay ahead. Andrew's commitments to his naval career loomed large, and the demands of royal life were relentless. With both personal and public expectations pulling at the seams of their new marriage, Sarah found the initial glow of love and commitment enough to sustain her as she adjusted to her new role. Hints of future challenges were already visible, even in those early days of marital bliss. The royal protocols, public demands, and Andrew's military obligations all signaled hurdles the couple would have to navigate. Sarah's reflections on this time reveal the complexities of a love story lived under a microscope. In the years that followed, Sarah and Andrew would face trials that tested their bond to its limits. Yet, as she revisits these moments, it becomes clear that their romance was never just about grandeur or public perception. It was built on a genuine connection that held firm amid the challenges. What followed their wedding would expose the cracks in their fairy tale and reveal the human struggles beneath the royal veneer. A marriage marked by distance and challenges began almost immediately. Andrew returned to his naval commitments 2 weeks after their grand wedding at Westminster Abbey. Sarah was now alone and had to navigate her new life as a royal. This physical separation, which would become a hallmark of their marriage, set the tone for years to come. In a candid reflection, Sarah noted that they spent only about 40 days together each year during their marriage. Andrew's naval career demanded constant travel. He spent months at sea, and his assignments left little room for a personal life. For Sarah, this meant shouldering the weight of royal expectations alone. As she adjusted to her new role, she found herself grappling with feelings of isolation. The grandeur of royal life often masked a profound sense of loneliness, a sentiment she later described as one of the most challenging aspects of her marriage. "I knew he had obligations," she said, "but I couldn't help feeling abandoned at times." These feelings of isolation were magnified during critical moments in their lives, particularly when Sarah became pregnant with their first daughter, Princess Beatrice. During a time when most expectant mothers rely on the presence and support of their partners, Sarah faced the journey largely on her own. Andrew's naval duties kept him away from much of her pregnancy, and when he was home, his stays were fleeting. He left just 10 days after Beatrice's birth, leaving Sarah to navigate motherhood and royal duties without him. The absence of her husband wasn't just a private struggle, it became a glaring issue within the royal household. Sarah later revealed that her emotional vulnerability during this period was often dismissed by palace staff. When she expressed her feelings of loneliness and frustration, she was reportedly told to get a grip. This lack of empathy only deepened her sense of isolation. In essence, it forced her to internalize her struggles in an environment where appearances mattered more than personal well-being. The strain on their marriage was further exacerbated by the intense public scrutiny Sarah faced as a new member of the royal family. Every move she made was dissected by the media, and with Andrew often away, she bore the brunt of this attention alone. For a young woman still finding her footing in a highly regimented institution, the pressure was immense. Compounding the challenges was the rigid structure of royal life. Sarah found herself hemmed in by protocols that left little room for individuality or personal expression. Decisions were often dictated by tradition, and any deviation was met with criticism. Without Andrew by her side to navigate these challenges, Sarah was left to fend for herself in an environment that demanded perfection. "I had to adapt quickly," she said, "but it was hard not to feel like I was losing a part of myself." The strain wasn't limited to Sarah's emotional well-being, it began to take a toll on their relationship as well. Andrew's absence created a growing distance between them. While Sarah tried to remain supportive of his career, the limited time they spent together made it increasingly difficult to maintain the closeness they had once shared. The joys of marriage became overshadowed by its challenges, and it left both parties grappling with a love story that was anything but simple. Struggling to bridge the gap, even during rare moments of togetherness, the weight of their separate lives loomed large. Andrew's focus remained on his naval career, and their time apart wasn't just measured in days, it was emphasized by the growing emotional distance between them. This created a chasm that neither seemed able to fully cross, despite their best efforts. Hints of cracks in their relationship began to emerge. Sarah sought solace in friendships and hobbies that offered an escape from the confines of royal life. As the years passed, the pressures of distance, duty, and public life continued to mount, testing their marriage to its breaking point. What followed would thrust their private struggles into the public eye, exposing vulnerabilities and decisions that neither could have foreseen. Several scandals eventually pushed their union to the breaking point. Among these, none was more infamous than the publication of photographs in 1992 showing Sarah in a compromising position with her financial advisor, John Bryan. Dubbed the toe-sucking scandal, the images sparked a media firestorm that left the royal family reeling and Sarah's reputation in tatters. The incident became a defining moment in her life, one that both exposed the cracks in her marriage and cemented her place in tabloid infamy. The scandal unfolded during a private holiday in the south of France. Sarah had traveled there with Bryan and her daughters. Paparazzi captured intimate photographs of Sarah lounging topless by the pool while Bryan kissed and nibbled on her toes. When the images were splashed across the front pages of newspapers, the reaction was swift and merciless. The British press, already critical of Sarah for her perceived lack of decorum, seized the opportunity to vilify her further. Headlines branded her reckless, immoral, and a disgrace to the monarchy. For Prince Andrew, who was away on naval duties at the time, the fallout was both personal and public. The photos brought intense scrutiny to his judgment and the stability of their marriage. The royal family faced renewed criticism for failing to control the narrative. The scandal reinforced the perception that Sarah was an outsider who couldn't adapt to the royal mold, a perception that had dogged her since the early days of her marriage. John Bryan, the man at the center of the controversy, became an unlikely symbol of Sarah's growing disenchantment with royal life. As a financial advisor, he had entered her life during a period of mounting personal and financial pressures. Sarah was eager to find independence and support for her ventures and had turned to him for guidance. Their relationship, however, extended beyond the professional, as the photographs made painfully clear. Bryan later claimed that the images were misinterpreted and that their relationship was one of deep friendship rather than romantic involvement. Regardless of the truth, the damage was done. The royal family's response to the scandal was predictably swift and severe. Queen Elizabeth reportedly summoned Sarah to Balmoral, where she was informed that her presence in the royal household was no longer tenable. The incident was seen as the final straw in a marriage that had already been strained to its limits. Although the couple had been separated for several months by then, the scandal hastened the formalization of their divorce. For Sarah, the fallout was not only the end of her marriage but also the beginning of a new chapter defined by both resilience and reinvention. Sarah's financial struggles after her separation from Andrew further fueled the media's narrative of her as a woman unable to manage her affairs. Burdened by debts and determined to provide for her daughters, she took on numerous projects, from publishing books to endorsing commercial products. While these ventures helped stabilize her finances, they also attracted criticism from traditionalists who felt she was exploiting her royal connections. "I was just trying to survive," Sarah later explained. "I didn't want to be a burden on anyone." Her determination to work, however, clashed with the royal family's ethos of quiet dignity and service. For an institution steeped in tradition, Sarah's approach was seen as a betrayal of the values she had sworn to uphold. The perception of her as a commercial opportunist further alienated her from the royal household, deepening the divide that had begun with her separation from Andrew. While she maintained that her actions were motivated by necessity rather than greed, the media portrayed her as a fallen duchess willing to do anything for a paycheck. The scandal involving John Bryan only exacerbated these tensions. For Sarah, the incident was a public humiliation and a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that came with her position. The relentless scrutiny she faced made it clear that her every move would be dissected and judged, leaving little room for error. In the wake of the scandal, she found herself grappling with questions about her identity and her place in a world that had turned its back on her. Despite the challenges, Sarah's perspective on the scandal and her marriage remained surprisingly empathetic. She continued to defend Andrew, insisting that their divorce was not the result of a single event but a culmination of factors. "It wasn't just one thing," she explained. "We were living very different lives, and the pressures of those lives eventually caught up with us." Her loyalty to Andrew, even after their marriage ended, became a defining feature of her public persona. Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew have maintained a relationship that defies the traditional notion of ex-spouses. Their bond remains a cornerstone of their lives. While their marriage faced challenges they could not overcome, their post-divorce relationship became a testament to their ability to prioritize family above all else. For Beatrice and Eugenie, their parents' dedication to amicable co-parenting created a sense of stability during what could have been a tumultuous period. Sarah and Andrew often appeared together at significant events for their daughters. Whether attending royal engagements or more personal milestones, they made it clear that their children's happiness would always come first. This commitment to co-parenting, Sarah revealed, stemmed from a shared belief in fostering a positive environment for their daughters, even amid their own struggles. Jane Luade, Sarah's sister, highlighted the unique nature of their relationship in a rare public comment. "They're the best divorced couple I know," she said. Luade noted how Sarah and Andrew's approach to co-parenting transcended the ordinary. She recalled visiting them at Royal Lodge, their shared home in Windsor, and witnessing their interactions firsthand. "They've done it for their children, and it's incredible," she said. This sense of unity extended beyond their daughters. Even as Andrew faced significant public and personal challenges in the years following their divorce, Sarah remained steadfast in her support. In interviews, she frequently emphasized the enduring friendship they share, calling him a great man with a great heart. Her words reflect a deeper understanding of their relationship. "He supported me through thick and thin, not just during our marriage but also after our divorce," Sarah said. Their shared home, Royal Lodge, is a symbol of their unconventional bond. While divorced couples rarely continue to share a residence, Sarah and Andrew chose to remain under one roof. This arrangement, while unusual, allowed them to remain closely involved in Beatrice and Eugenie's lives. The shared home also reflects their commitment to preserving a sense of family. For Sarah, the Royal Lodge represents more than just a residence, it is a sanctuary where she and Andrew can support one another in ways that transcend traditional labels. Sarah's candid revelations about their post-divorce dynamics offer insight into why their bond has endured. As one built on the 3 C's, communication, compromise, and compassion, these principles, she said, have guided them through difficult times and allowed them to navigate the complexities of their lives. We may not be married anymore, but we are still a family, she explained. Sarah's unwavering loyalty to Andrew has been particularly striking given the controversies that have surrounded him in recent years. As public opinion turned against him, Sarah stood by his side. She kept emphasizing his kindness and the support he had shown her throughout their lives. "I won't let him down," she said in one interview, reiterating her commitment to their friendship. Her words reflect a deep sense of responsibility and affection that has not wavered even in the face of adversity. Sarah's surprising statements about Andrew have been a revelation that stunned both royal watchers and the public. Sarah Ferguson has unequivocally declared that, given the chance, she would marry Prince Andrew all over again. Despite their divorce and the controversies that have surrounded Andrew in recent years, Sarah's feelings toward her ex-husband remain steadfast. "I was totally and utterly in love with Andrew," she shared in a candid interview. "He's the best, a great man with a great heart." Her words have now reignited discussions about their unique bond and the loyalty that has defined their relationship. Sarah's insistence on Andrew's fundamental goodness has come at a time when his public image has been significantly tarnished. Her praise for his character offers a stark contrast to the negative press he has received. "Andrew is kind, compassionate, and loyal," she repeatedly emphasized. Her statements have drawn attention both for their content and timing. In an era where distancing oneself from controversy is often seen as the safer option, Sarah's public support for Andrew is notable for its courage. She has refused to shy away from addressing their relationship. "He supported me through thick and thin," she said. Balancing her public persona with her personal loyalty to Andrew has been no small feat as a public figure. Sarah is acutely aware of the scrutiny her words and actions attract. Every interview and every statement is dissected for meaning, often in ways she cannot control. Yet she has chosen to speak openly about her feelings for Andrew, even when doing so invites criticism. For Sarah, this transparency is not just a matter of loyalty but also a way to assert her own identity. "I'm not afraid to stand by him," she said. "I know who he is, and that's what matters." Maintaining this balance requires a delicate navigation of public and private roles. As a duchess, an author, and a public speaker, Sarah must project an image of confidence and professionalism. Yet she has managed to integrate her personal loyalty to Andrew into her public life in a way that feels authentic. Her words about him are never defensive or apologetic. Instead, they are framed as reflections of her own values and experiences. This approach allows her to remain true to herself while addressing the complexities of their relationship. Sarah's ability to balance these roles is perhaps most evident in her philanthropic work. As an advocate for children's education and a champion of mental health initiatives, she has built a reputation as a compassionate and driven individual. Her work in these areas demonstrates her commitment to causes that align with her values. Sarah's praise for Andrew's kindness and great heart also serves to humanize him in the face of public scrutiny. While much of the media's focus has been on his controversies, Sarah's words remind people of the man she knows behind the headlines. "He has a way of making you feel seen and valued," she said. These insights offer a glimpse into a side of Andrew that is rarely discussed and add depth to the public's understanding of their relationship. For Sarah, these declarations are not about rewriting history. They are about acknowledging the enduring impact Andrew has had on her life. Critics have questioned Sarah's unwavering support, suggesting it may stem from a desire to remain close to the royal family. However, her consistent narrative of mutual respect and loyalty suggests otherwise. Her statements about Andrew are deeply personal. When all is said and done, they are rooted in shared experiences and a genuine connection that transcends public perception. The shadow of Andrew's scandals looms large. No member of the British royal family has been engulfed in as much controversy as Prince Andrew in recent years. His ties to the late Jeffrey Epstein remain the most damaging chapter of his public life. Accusations from Virginia Giuffre propelled the Duke of York into an international scandal that rocked the monarchy. While Andrew has repeatedly denied all allegations, the fallout from these claims has irreparably altered his public image and cast a long shadow over his personal life. The allegations first came to light in 2015 when Jeffrey publicly named Andrew as one of the high-profile individuals involved in Epstein's illicit activities. A photograph of Andrew with his arm around Jeffrey's waist, taken at the London home of Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell, became a focal point of scrutiny. Despite Andrew's insistence that the photo was doctored and his claim that he had no recollection of meeting Jeffrey, the image became symbolic of his association with the disgraced financier. The prince's repeated denials did little to quell public outrage, and his explanations were often met with skepticism. The scandal reached a boiling point in 2019 when Andrew agreed to a televised interview with the BBC's Newsnight programme. It was intended to clear his name but backfired spectacularly. Andrew's attempt to provide an alibi that he was at a Pizza Express in Woking on the night of one alleged encounter was widely ridiculed. His assertion that he couldn't have perspired during another alleged meeting due to a medical condition stemming from his service in the Falklands War was similarly dismissed as implausible. Perhaps most damaging of all was his lack of empathy for Epstein's victims. The interview, dubbed a car crash, led to widespread calls for Andrew to step back from public life. In the wake of the interview, Andrew announced his decision to withdraw from royal duties indefinitely. Buckingham Palace issued a statement affirming the move and emphasized that it was made with the Queen's approval. His military affiliations and royal patronages were subsequently stripped, and he was no longer allowed to use the title His Royal Highness in an official capacity. The fallout extended beyond Andrew himself. The scandal cast a shadow over the entire royal family and raised questions about their judgment and their ability to distance themselves from controversy. Through it all, Sarah Ferguson remained an unwavering defender of Andrew. In interviews, she consistently praised his character and expressed confidence in his innocence. "I know the man I married," she repeatedly said. But Sarah's defense of Andrew extended beyond words. As public backlash grew, she made a concerted effort to humanize him. Her statements often framed Andrew as a loving father and a supportive ex-husband, contrasting sharply with the public's perception of him as a figure mired in scandal. Sarah's unwavering loyalty came at a cost. Her association with Andrew led to renewed scrutiny of her own actions. Critics questioned her motivations and her decision to remain in close proximity to him. For Sarah, the criticism was difficult but not insurmountable. "I've faced public judgment before," she said, referencing her own scandals in the 1990s, "but I know who Andrew is, and I won't let public opinion dictate my relationships." Sarah Ferguson's candid revelations about her enduring loyalty to Prince Andrew have shocked everyone, not only for their timing but for the unwavering conviction behind them. Declaring she would marry Andrew again despite their divorce and his controversies defies public expectations of how relationships should evolve post-marriage. Her praise for Andrew's great heart and kindness, even as his reputation has been battered, offers a rare perspective on a bond built on shared history, mutual respect, and resilience. Their story challenges conventional narratives about divorce and public figures. While most high-profile separations result in estrangement or polite detachment, Sarah and Andrew have charted a different course. Their ability to co-parent successfully, share a home, and maintain an authentic friendship highlights the complexity of human relationships, especially when lived in the spotlight. Sarah's reflections reveal a woman who refuses to conform to societal expectations, choosing instead to honor her personal values of compassion and loyalty. Her journey is also one of remarkable reinvention. From the toe-sucking scandal to her current life as a philanthropist and grandmother, she has continually risen above public criticism. Her resilience, shaped by years of navigating royal life and personal challenges, paints a portrait of a woman who has learned to embrace her imperfections and use them as a foundation for growth. Sarah and Andrew's story may not fit the mold of a traditional royal romance, but it speaks to the enduring power of connection, leaving the world both shocked and intrigued. Do you think Sarah is right to support Andrew regardless of his controversies? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Catch you in the next video. Subscribe now and become a part of Expedition Diaries for more. 4-0